On the morning of October 25, 1944, the destroyer USS Johnston sailed into legend. She was part of Taffy 3, a small escort group of 6 carriers, 3 destroyers, and 4 destroyer escorts that had been assigned to cover the landings at Leyte Gulf. Commander Ernest E. Evans commanded her, and he had promised his crew that Johnston would be in the thick of any fight they found. At 6:46 a.m., Taffy 3's radar picked up the impossible. A massive Japanese fleet was bearing down on them. Vice Admiral Takeo Kurita's center force, led by the monstrous battleship Yamato, had broken through the San Bernardino Strait and was now charging straight at the thin line of escort carriers. Escort carriers were designed for air support, not slugging it out with battleships. Impossibly overmatched, Rear Admiral Clifton Sprague ordered his small ships to lay smoke and run east. Johnston, at the rear of the formation and the closest to the Japanese warships, chose to fight. At 7:10, Evans turned his destroyer toward the enemy, charging full speed through smoke and rain squalls. Japanese shells began to bracket her position. Nagato, Haruna, and Kongo firing salvos so large the concussion alone felt like thunder. Somehow, none hit Johnston as she raced closer to the enemy. Targeting the heavy cruiser Kumano, Johnston's 5-inch guns opened up, firing more than 200 rounds in 5 minutes. Her shots struck home, setting fires across Kumano's deck. Then, at 10,000 yards, Evans loosed their torpedoes. 10 streaked through the water as Kumano's bow exploded, and she veered out of formation. Another cruiser dropped back to assist. Johnston had just forced 2 heavy cruisers out of the battle. At 7:30, Yamato fired a full 9-gun broadside from 20,000 yards at what she thought was a cruiser. 3 of the armor-piercing shells struck Johnston. One tore clean through her thin hull without exploding. The other smashed into her bridge and engine spaces. Moments later, the Japanese battleship's secondary batteries found their mark, riddling the destroyer's superstructure. 1 shell hit amidships, destroying an anti-aircraft director, while 2 more ripped into the bridge, killing and wounding dozens of crewmen. Commander Evans lost 2 of his fingers, but refused treatment, deferring it to his crew. As her engines faltered and power to most guns was lost, Johnston was briefly hidden by smoke and rain as her crew scrambled with damage control. Johnston turned south to rejoin Taffy 3 and was met with the other destroyers of her unit, Hoel, Heermann, and Samuel B. Roberts, launching their own torpedo attacks on the Japanese formation. Evans turned Johnston back towards the fight to support them, exchanging fire with the heavy cruiser Haguro and briefly dueling the battleship Kongo. When the carrier Gambier Bay was spotted dead in the water and taking fire from multiple Japanese warships, Evans swung his guns toward Chikuma to draw her fire. By now, the battle had devolved into chaos. Hull was sinking, and Samuel B. Roberts was locked in a point-blank duel with a cruiser. When the light cruiser Yahagi and 4 destroyers were spotted racing in to finish off the American carriers, the heavily damaged Johnston turned to meet them alone. At 8:50, Evans opened fire on Yahagi. As the range closed to 7,000 yards, Johnston's guns hammered the cruiser, scoring a dozen hits, but the return fire crippled her remaining mounts. With the bridge destroyed and fires raging, Evans shifted command to the fantail as his gunners forced Yahagi to turn away. As the Japanese destroyers closed in, they raked Johnston with shells. Her engines died, her last gun fell silent, and at 9:45, with the ship dead in the water and burning fiercely, Evans gave the order to abandon ship. As those left alive leapt overboard, Johnston broke apart, as the wound from Yamato's massive shells finally split her hull. As Johnston rolled over and sank, the Japanese destroyer Yukikaze passed close, and her crew saluted the survivors. Out of 327 men, only 141 survived to be rescued 2 days later. Commander Ernest E. Evans was never found. He was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor, the first Native American in the U.S. Navy to receive the honor.